Hello, welcome to Basics of Finite Element Analysis. Today is the beginning of the fourth week of this series of lectures, and in the last lecture we had discussed the weak formulation type of approximation method, and specifically we had discussed the Rayleigh-Ritz method, where the choice of our weight function was same as the approximation functions which we used while representing the dependent variable. So, today we will be discussing a different category of approximation solution approach, and this is known as method of weighted residuals. So, in this particular method, what we do is we first calculate the residue, multiply it by a weight function, integrate this weighted residual over the domain of the problem and equate it to 0. What we do not do in this case is, as we saw in case of Rayleigh-Ritz method, is that we do not weaken the differentiability. So, this is one very fundamental difference. So, the first thing is that we integrate the weighted error over domain and equate it to 0. We do not weaken the differentiability in this method. So, this is one very important difference. What this directly means is that in Rayleigh-Ritz approach, because we have a weakened differentiability, when we do this weakening of the differentiability and shift the differential operator from u, which is the dependent variable, to w, which is the weight function, then some boundary terms come as in this process, right. The secondary variables or the natural boundary terms come in this process. So, when we are trying to enforce these boundary conditions related to natural boundary conditions or secondary variables, we do not have to worry too much about that, because they automatically come through the mathematics. In this case, because we are not weakening the differentiability, so these secondary variables do not emerge in the integral explicitly. What that means directly is that when we choose the approximation functions in this particular weighted residual approach, these approximation functions not only have to satisfy all the essential boundary conditions, but they should also satisfy all the natural boundary conditions. This is very important. So, our approximation functions should satisfy both essential boundary conditions and natural boundary conditions. In the Rayleigh-Ritz approach, we did not have to worry about the natural boundary conditions, because they were getting automatically satisfied. Here that is not the case. So, what this means is that if we want to use the weighted residual approach, we have a stricter choice in stricter rules in terms of what kind of functions should we be picking. In Rayleigh-Ridge approach, the choice was pretty flexible. So, this is a very important condition. The third thing is that our choice of weight function need not be same as that of approximation functions used to represent u, which in this case is the dependent primary variable. This need not be, and depending on what kind of function we choose, that particular weighted residual approach has a different name. So, there are different weighted residual approaches. And for instance, there is a Petrov-Galerkin method, and that if we make a particular choice for the weight function, then it is called a Petrov-Galerkin method. If we make another choice of weight function, then it is known as a Galerkin method. Then there is a method known as method of least squares. There we choose a different weight function. So, there are different types of weight functions. The advantage of this weighted residuals is, in our Rayleigh-Ridge approach, what we had shown was that effectively in Rayleigh-Ridge approach, effectively we had shown that we were taking the variation of some functional, right, I, which was bilinear in nature and symmetric, and that variation we were equating to 0. And when we take this variation, the interpretation that the first variation of this bilinear symmetric operator I is equal to 0 is, it meant that there is some function which is getting minimized. There is no reason to think that all functionals will be necessarily bilinear and symmetric, right. There may be a lot of problems where things may not be symmetric in nature, and they may not be, it may not be possible to represent them in form of I u of u. So, they may not necessarily be bilinear or symmetric or both. Okay. So, in such cases, this Rayleigh-Ridge approach may not necessarily work, because this functional may not exist. So, if the functional does not exist, you cannot minimize that functional. So, in such cases, we rely on these weighted residual approaches, even though we see that they are more restrictive in terms of the choice of displacement or approximation functions to represent displacements. But they still enable us to provide us approximate solutions, especially, and they are especially helpful when things become nonlinear or when this I functional, it does not exist. So, we will consider different operators, just consider different operators. Let us say that there is an operator u, A of u, and that equals f in some domain, okay, which is omega, and we will list down different types of such operators. So, one example of this operator could be A of u is equal to A times du over dx and then I take the differential of it plus Cu. Okay. So, this particular operator we have seen several times in our previous lectures. Another operator which we can represent using A of u could be some parameter of some function b of x times some dependent variables second differential, and this entire thing is being differentiated twice. This particular operator is applicable for beams E I and then the deflection fourth derivative that equals moment or equals the q, right, equals q. Another example of another variation of this A could be some constant k x times del u over del x, and then you differentiate it with respect to x plus partial derivative of some function k y times del u over del y. So, in this case this is an operator which is working in 2 dimensions. Okay. Another operator example could be du over dx. So, these first 4 operators are linear in u, okay, but this is a non-linear operator. It's a non-linear operator in u. So, the point what I am trying to make is that this particular approach, method of weighted residual approach, will be fine regardless of the nature of these operators. A Rayleigh-Ritz approach will work for this thing, you know, it will work for this, it may work for this, but it will not work for this. But these weighted residual approaches may work for all sorts of situations. First thing is that we choose an approximation function for u, and suppose u I want to express it in terms of a n term solution expression, then u n is equal to some constants C j times phi j, which is a function of x, and j is equal to 1 to n. Okay. So, this is the first step, step 1. Second step, this involves that we calculate the residue of approximation. So, our residue I write it as r, and it is a function of this u n, which is a n term solution for dependent variable u. So, my residue is equal to, I apply that operator on u n if the overall differential equation is this A of u n, and since u n is C j phi j x, so it is equal to, I am using this operator on u n C j phi j. Oh, I can also add a constant term here phi naught. Okay. So, phi j x plus phi naught, and the C j times phi j I am going to sum it over indice j. So, this is my residue, and this residue depends on the nature of operator. This operator could be one of these or even something different. It depends on which governing equation we are trying to solve. So, I can, then the next step is step 3, that equate weighted integral of r to 0. Okay. So, the mathematical statement for this is I am going to integrate it over domain omega. My r, it depends on un, so it is a function of x, y, cj, dx, dy, and I am going to multiply it by some weight function psi. So, this is my weight function. And this I equate to 0. And of course, I forgot I have to sum it over j equals 1 to n. So, there are total n unknowns, unknown values, unknowns for Cj, right, because this is an n term solution. So, I have to make n different choices for psi I, n different choices for psi I, with to ensure that I get n equations for n unknowns. So, we make n choices to get n equations in n unknowns. N equations in n unknowns. Okay. This term, okay, so I will like to reiterate some things. Our choice of phi j and phi naught, we have explained it earlier, but so here when we are choosing phi j, it should be such that it satisfies homogeneous form of all boundary conditions, and we will actually do an example to show what we mean by this. So, all boundary conditions, not just natural boundary conditions or essential boundary conditions. Phi j should satisfy all boundary conditions, but only their homogeneous form, okay? Only their homogeneous form. So, if u equals a non-zero constant, I replace that non-zero constant by 0, and this phi j has to satisfy that boundary condition. And then phi naught should satisfy all boundary conditions, should satisfy all boundary conditions. So, if the boundary conditions are non-homogeneous, then phi naught has to satisfy those. If they are homogeneous, then it will anyway, it has to satisfy that. So, this is one requirement. Second requirement is about phi naught. The third requirement is that phi j and phi naught should be sufficiently differentiable. They should be sufficiently differentiable. So, if I in my operator a n I have fourth order derivatives, then phi j and phi naught should be differentiable up to at least the fourth, up to 4 times at least. Otherwise, my choice of phi j and phi naught is incorrect. And the last point what I wanted to make is that phi j should be a complete set complete set of functions So, if I use polynomial functions, then I have to start with x, x square, x cube and so on and so forth. As long as these functions satisfy the boundary conditions, then that set should be complete in itself. I cannot have missing terms in between. Okay. So, phi j should represent a complete set of functions. So, this is there, and yeah, what he said is true, and they should be linearly independent. So, these are the requirements for phi j. They should satisfy all the homogeneous form of boundary conditions, sufficiently differentiable, phi j should be a complete set, and it should be linearly independent. So, we have done step 1, we choose a particular function for un, calculate residue. In the third step, we multiply it by a weight function and do the weighted integral of residue to 0, but we do not weaken the differentiability, and we have discussed what type of phi j's should we be picking up. Now, what we will do is we will look at different types of weight functions. So, we have till so far not discussed which kind of weight functions should we be choosing. So, we will look at different type of weight functions, and they will be associated with different solution methodologies, and we will discuss all these different types of different flavors of weighted residual method in the next lecture. Okay. So, thank you, and we will continue this discussion tomorrow.